right now I'm transitioning into my fall decor. So this is purple, but come Sunday, it's gonna be yellow, orange, or red. Hello, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Gloria and I crochet stuffed animals for a living. Now, on to the point of today's video, color changing. Now, if you know me, I'd say I'm pretty much an expert when it comes to color changing. And it's something that a lot of people struggle with and come to me for questions and concerns. So hence this video. Today I'm just going to tell you all about the tips and tricks of changing colors within crocheting stuffed animals, what you can do to make them better, especially those gaps where you see the little yarn in between. I'll show you how to get rid of those as well. Hint, it's all in the wrist, literally. Now, you may be like,
Okay, who is this girl? You're just saying things to say things. How do I know that this is correct?
well, this is my cue to bring on our guest for today. Meet custom order number 5, or also known as a jumbo okapi plushie. You just saw my work. You saw all my color changes. How nice, how neat, how pretty. And I'm not saying this to brag. I'm just saying this that you know that I have credentials. Now that you see my certificates of completion, allow me to tell you how I got here. So come over. Let me show you how to do color changes, or at least color changes the way I do it. And let's begin. So, I do want to make a couple of notes before we even start color changing. A lot of crocheters, well, I don't want to say a lot. I'm not a scientist, so I don't actually know the research, but I will say that there is quite a bit of crocheters that like to simply do yarn over, draw a loop, and then yarn over and draw through 2 loops. However, although that makes a nice standard looking crochet stitch, it doesn't usually make the stitch that's best for when we're changing colors, just because the colors are easily able to be seen in between stitches. For those who are more aware, this is commonly known as the V stitch. But for color changing, it's best to do the X stitch. So, in order to do that, you simply stick your hook in, wrap your yarn around like that. Remember, not like this, but like this. Draw it over and bring it up like so. Then you can go over and through. Now, some people say that it doesn't really matter, that you can go over and under. I don't know if it does. I don't necessarily try either way, but I always do over and then, I always yarn under and then yarn over. Now, I'm going to crochet into this last stitch because I want to change from brown to black. So you're going to see me do that really quickly. But let's make a couple of quick pointers. Now, of course, as you know, before we even start, I do want to give a couple of quick pointers. You should not be crocheting too tight. If you crochet too tight, you are going to see the color show in between the stitches that you're changing color from, and that's not going to be super cute. You want to make sure that your stitches are like a nice medium length, not length, but gauge, but not too loose, of course. Like you can see that I can stick my hand in this, but it's not so loose that there's holes that you can easily see. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go in and I'm going to switch colors. So I'm going to go over with my hook like so. I'm going to do that one more time just in case we're a beginner. Stick your hook in and then, whoa, that was a little too fast, huh? Over, which like that, and then draw that through. Notice that the yarn kind of crosses. You want that. That's good. What does not create the X stitch is when it's not crossed. We don't want that. That's not really going to create the stitch that we want. As you can see, now it looks like a V. When we look, we want it to look more like this and not this. I hope that makes more sense. Okay, so back to color changing. Stick your hook in, yarn over, under. Sorry, just wanted to catch if y'all were listening. And then before I yarn under, I want to change colors. So I'm not going to yarn over in brown. I'm going to yarn over in black instead. Now, this is the part where I said, although some people say it doesn't matter, I think it does kind of matter, because if you do yarn under the first time and then yarn under the second time, you may be able to see your colors changing in between stitches. So I don't know. This is just what I do best with. So replaying that, I just simply go over and pull through. The X stitch just allows you to hide it through. Now you can go into the next stitch with ease, and you can continue as so. Now, a couple of pointers that I do want to point out, and let me actually undo this just to make my point. I will notice sometimes we make our last stitch, our last yarn over too tight. For example, let's say we're changing colors, right? And we go yarn over and under, yarn under, and then we're about to go yarn over in the new color. We may sometimes go too tight. We may make this one too tight. If you do, it's not going to make the prettiest color changes. Inversely, we don't want it to be too loose. So you notice if my stitch is way too loose and I'm changing colors, sure, it's going to be hidden, but now when you go into the next color and you're crocheting with your normal tension, it's going to stick out essentially. And I know you can't necessarily tell, but as you continue to crochet, especially if you're crocheting with two strands of yarn at the same time, it'll be easy to notice and it stands out a lot. So make sure to check the tension of the stitch that you're using to change from one color to another, because sometimes you may notice that you're crocheting too loose compared to the other stitches that you just did, or too tight compared to the other stitches that you just did. And that will definitely show some color changing as well. The key is to keep this tension exactly the same. Exactly the same. Another thing that I do notice is that sometimes we crochet the next stitch a little too tight because we kind of subconsciously want to lock in that color change. I totally understand that, but that is just not going to do. It's kind of the same problem as this one. See how I did this one way too big? And you can already see the white peeking out. Not super fun. Inversely, if I do this one super tight, it's going to show and people are going to notice that there's something that looks a little odd. So the number one thing that you should take away from this color changing video is the fact that you need to pay attention to your tension. What happens if your tension's too big? Well, or too loose. Like this stitch is a little too loose compared to my other stitches. All you have to do is simply pull the trailing yarn like so, just a little bit. See how the stitch gets smaller? That's what we need, but obviously you don't want it too small, or else it's gonna kind of mess up your whole piece and then you're gonna have to start over. And then remember to crochet as if you never changed colors at all. And that, my friends, is how you get beautiful color changes. Now, as you can see, this one seems to be a little too tight. And you can tell because there's some white sticking out. There's no white sticking out of these. There's a little bit of black sticking out here, but not a crazy amount. It's really only this stitch that you can see it the most. So that's how you know that you may have to go back and then redo it and make that stitch a little bit wider. You know what I mean? Now I can't really make it wider by just pulling it, but even just by pulling it, you can see that it's starting to go away, kind of. Those are the things that you need to know when you're color changing, and that's honestly it. It's not as hard as you think. And another little pointer, if you are color changing and you're crocheting in brown, let's just say the colors, right? If I'm crocheting in brown and then I switch to black, if I'm crocheting in more than 5 stitches in black, then I need to cut off the brown yarn, crochet the black in all the stitches that I need to. Like, let's say the pattern says 20 in black. So I'll crochet all 20 in black. And then when I need to go back to brown, I'll simply get the yarn that I cut and I'll just rejoin it, you know, like a normal color changing technique that we went through. Like nothing happened. If I'm crocheting 5 stitches or less in black, you can just carry. And when people say carry, some people don't quite understand what that means. That technically means that as you're crocheting, and let's say I'm crocheting the next stitches in brown, which I'm not, but let's just pretend, right? Let's say I'm about to change colors. Instead of cutting this brown yarn and then rejoining it at this stitch, I'll simply carry it over from where it was last and then just use it like so. Now, it will create these yarn basket loops, if you will. And I say those stitch specifications because if you're not careful, these can really mess up with how you stuff your plushie, and it can actually cause snagging and random places that you don't want to be indented in a weird way. In short, it's just going to make your plushie look weird and lumpy if you keep them in. That's why it's not good to keep them in if you're going to crochet a lot of stitches in the next color. And by a lot, I mean more than 5. That's pretty much it when it comes to color changing. I hope that helped. Oh, one more. I almost forgot. My bad. When it comes to color changing, of course, the invisible decrease is the best decrease to do in order for your color changes if you have to color change from a decrease. As you can see, decreases are the best way to color change in a way that kind of just hides your work as well and kind of just mimics a normal single crochet. So if a pattern asks you to decrease, consider it an invisible decrease. Okay, I think I went over everything, but if you guys have any extras, let me know in the comments because I would love to hear more. With that being said, I think that's about it. And that's it. That is pretty much how I do my color changes. Please try this out and let me know if this helped you at all. And if you have any questions, because ultimately, I mean, we're all trying to make cute stuffed animals. We're all just trying to crochet and live life. I'm just trying to help you get one step closer to being able to crochet, live life, and enjoy what you crochet. Because I would hate for you to not make a project just because you think that it's not going to come out cute because of color changing. That would be so unfortunate. And I know some people that do it, and that makes me so sad because it's like there's such a realm of possibilities to do with multiple colors. You're really missing out. So I hope that this video will bring you one step closer to the fan club. If you like this video, please give a like. You know, this is actually the first time I've said that. It's because every single time I film a video, I forget to say that. Anyway, that's it, y'all. Please drink water. I'm drinking tea, but it's pretty much 90% water, so it'll do. Exercise, read a book, turn the page, read some more, get some sleep, take a nap, and I'll see you guys soon. Toodles!